Smoking and vaping are not the same thing. The next person who says this shit to me, I'm gonna go get a kettle and put a kettle on the table in the kitchen and record me putting the kettle on, wait till the kettle boils up and open it and watch the what? Is it smoke? Is it steam? What is it? And so I was speaking to someone earlier and he said to me, look man, he said smoking and vaping, you smoke in a cigarette, you inhale and you exhale and you smoke. And then if you smoking a vape, you inhale and you exhale the smoke. No, you're not exhaling smoke. You're exhaling vapor. That's why they call it a vaporizer. If you have someone giving you sympathy, that's a sympathizer. They don't just make up words for no reason and attach them to devices with no meaning, okay? So this device, it's called a vaporizer because it vaporizes stuff. The stuff in the vaporizer turns into vapor. That's what it was designed to do, okay? So how does this work? Why does the cigarette not vaporize anything? It does. You just don't see it, okay? But the heat required to vaporize something is much lower than the heat required to cause ignition and a flame and to burn something, which the temperature is much higher, okay? So this is the key difference. So when you heat certain things to a certain level, they combust, okay? Like all the cool explosive stuff you see on the TV and action movies and stuff, yeah, that's combustion. Vaporization is different. There's no like explosive effect. There's no dramatic change in the chemical composition. You smoke anything, you are changing what it was into something else. And usually it goes black, you know, because what's changed is so, like, the change is so dramatic that this it becomes entirely different. When you smoke something, it usually changes to many, not just one different chemical. It doesn't go from like nicotine to like benzene or whatever, you know, thousands of unrecognized, undiscovered, mainly nefarious, meaning scary, carcinogen, toxic threats is what it changes to. Now that's not just with smoking. If you burn a piece of toast in a toaster, the same thing happens. You're just not inhaling it. You might not be inhaling all those carcinogenic threats and all those toxins, volatile organic compounds. Volatile organic compounds aren't the problem. It's just because when they become toxic, when they change the chemical structure, they become an issue. When you burn something, whether it's a piece of toast, whether it's a cigarette, whether it's a steak, when you burn that thing, you're changing. What it was in its original state is changed dramatically. Mutations happening in terms of the chemical structure, or a deviation from what is ordinary in such a dramatic level that this now is unrecognized by your body. It's considered a toxin. There's a difference between lighting a bonfire or a campfire and sitting around and doing ring of roses around the campfire and sitting telling each other ghost and ghoul stories. But the real scary shit is if you inhale that fucking smoke. You didn't see these people at campfires like, oh, there's a fire. Oh, there's smoke coming out of this. This shit must be healthy. Let's go and inhale this smoke and channel tubes of smoke into our lungs and ooh. No, they might have got like dizzy from it because that's asphyxiation. The reason I think smoking is addictive is not necessarily all to do with nicotine, but it's to do with the asphyxiation effect. It's synonymous with the way that, you know, some people like to be choked by their boyfriends or girlfriends, right? They enjoy it. There's a reason for it. Some people like to hold their breath underwater and come up and be like, you know, there's an enjoyment in that. There's all kinds of, it's called hypoxia. Okay, it's where you starve your brain and your body of oxygen for a certain amount of time. And when you do that, when you return to like a normal state again, you get like oxygen and air. You feel like a newborn baby all over again. You're like, I've returned to the world, the air, the water. Oh yeah, like it's a good feeling. It's gonna naturally, even unconsciously, whether you try to control it or not, there's gonna be a release of some, endorphins or some dopamine thing going on. And it's going to make you think that, it's not necessarily the fact that you were choked that's the issue. It's the fact that you regained vitality and air after being choked. And your body and your brain remembers that. It remembers this. It doesn't remember being choked and all the nasty spitting and coughing and all that nasty shit that it does to your body. It doesn't remember that. It remembers once you put your cigarette down, it remembers being able to breathe slightly again. Okay, it's like, oh wow, that was such a great feeling. And so what your brain associates freedom with and like vitality with isn't not smoking in the first place. Your body trusts you to not smoke in the first place, like many of us have for over a decade. Okay, I could say that because I was one of them. Our body trusts us not to do dumb shit like that. When you eventually do something dumb like that, what's gonna happen is your body picks it up and it's like, yeah, we need to go through this, but like it's okay because he puts it down. If you never put that cigarette down and you were smoking a cigarette perpetually, like just constantly smoking, and you didn't have time to breathe in between, like, do you think your body would respond the same way? There's an effect of asphyxiation. There's construction workers who eat gravel and bricks and they're addicted to it. And I think what that might be is like, even though they're crunching hard, like, stones and like building materials, they swallow these building materials. And over time, there's a release of minerals. These building materials are loaded with minerals. Anyway, we're not going to go off topic too much. But once the body starts being replenished with minerals, because guess what? Your burnt toast ain't got none of that shit in it. Your waffles, your pancakes, all that stuff ain't got no minerals in it, okay? A brick, okay? Gravel has more minerals than your breakfast cereal. So what happens is, even psychologically, even through a psychological event, if you go through some sort of trauma, if what happened, all is well that ends well is what they say. That's really true from a perspective of dopamine and all that stuff, and understanding and registering things and dealing with trauma or whatever else. Your body tends to think that something that's ended okay is totally fine and it's repeatable. So smoking, vaping, is smoke the same as vapor? No. When you smoke something, you're burning it. Okay, you're burning it, you're changing the chemical composition of this thing. Loads of carcinogenic threats, loads of dangers there. And when you vaporize something, you're heating it and the substance stays the same. It gets toasted lightly. You could say it gets toasted. A lot of volatile organic compounds, a lot of the stuff in that material gets released. It gets released. You inhale what was released, okay? There's no smoke. And most of the organic matter, most of the heavy matter which makes up that stuff, not the light stuff which was detached and ended up in the vapor which you inhaled, but the heavy stuff stays the same. It doesn't change too much. And you could still see it doesn't become ash, put it that way. It doesn't become ash. It largely remains unaffected. It's just that all the smell compounds, all the light compounds, all the active compounds, which are much, much smaller molecules, they're released and detached from the original substrate, and the original substrate stays, intact. Okay, when you smoke something, when you smoke a cigarette, the paper's gone, the tobacco's gone, because it turned into smoke. If you had a cigarette, imagine looking at that cigarette. You're putting it inside your body, the whole damn thing. Not like the nicotine parts, Okay, the whole damn thing, the plastic, sorry, the paper and all that. So think of it that way, please. If you're confused about vaping and smoking, the toast analogy, please don't burn your food. You're doing the same thing, especially if you've got sticky stuff like sugars and stuff on like barbecue ribs or whatever, and then you go and burn them. You're gonna get arthritis a lot quicker. You're gonna age a lot quicker. You're going to introduce AGEs, which is ironic that it's called AGEs, the abbreviation for age, because it does make you age quicker. And that stands for advanced glycation end products. These advanced glycation end products are proteins that become misfolded and crumpled up in your body, and your body don't know how to process those proteins anymore, and they stay there and they get pushed around like, long forgotten proteins while your body tries to maintain some regular function. And these AGEs, they get lodged in your joints, and not only your joints but probably in your brain as well. These AGEs are going to contribute towards your insulin resistance. They're going to contribute towards diabetes. They're going to contribute towards arthritic conditions, unbearable, excruciating pain, which people only really crystallize, you could say, as they age from all the damage that they've done in their life. Don't become that person. Pretty much an unbearable life. I can't imagine anybody wanting to actively participate in relying on non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs and painkillers and things like that, and surgery, because they want to, and still enjoy their life being a drowsy zombie who's addicted to these medications, which charges hardworking taxpayers around the country to maintain the healthcare system to administer your health. It gets so complicated. Anyway, the point is, there's a lot of people out there, corporations, making money from this lack of knowledge, you could say. And so tobacco harm reduction, yes, I am. Am I pro vaporizers? Yeah, I am. I'm pro vaporizers for people who want to enjoy nicotine. I'm not one of them. People who, want to enjoy nicotine or find a reduced harm product and want to quit smoking and stuff. Quitting smoking is difficult, stressful thing. There's going to be lots more videos about smoking and the intricacies about this, and the knowledge that you wish you knew before you started smoking, and the stuff that you're glad to know now that you're thinking about quitting. Hopefully. A quick rant, I guess. It wasn't